Welcome to the From a Writer's Perspective channel, where we share our perspective as writers on popular media and dive into what it means to be a writer. Today, Leonard and I are going to do something different than our podcasts and YouTube reviews. We want to dissect the DNA of a writer, and with these discussions, we'll try to get a better understanding of the building blocks that make a writer. Today, we're looking into the character of a writer. Do you need to be particularly odd or even crazy to be a writer? And I have a little anecdote to why I want to bring this topic to you, Leonard. I was having dinner with a colleague of mine, and her boyfriend asked, like, hey, what you want to do? And at some point I said, like, I used to want to be a writer, but I still do. And he was like, oh, no. And I was like, what? And he's like, no, you're not crazy enough to be a writer. That kind of got me to thinking, do you need to be crazy to be a writer?
Define crazy.
That's a good start.
When I look at myself, I might be a little bit obsessed with writing. It's sort of this monomanic idea.
Yes.
It's actually the only thing I wanted to do. And if money would not play a role, what would be my dream job? And that is writing. Am I eccentric?
Yes. And I am as well, by the way. I think that you would even be able to call Bilbo crazy. Because everyone was like, wait, why is this hobbit? We don't travel. We don't journey off to far places. He's gonna fight a dragon. Is he crazy? So to be able to even write a character like that, you need to know what it means to be different and be, in that sense, a little bit eccentric.
Yeah.
You're able to take a lot of trivia and translate that into interesting world building. You're a wandering Wikipedia.
Yeah, well, it's funny because being different and being crazy are two different things in my book.
I agree.
In this society, everybody needs to have a stamp. And for example, with your autism, you're crazy because you don't fit the regular picture. So he has autism, he has to be crazy. I'm a bit reclusive and I like to write. Yeah, I'm crazy. It's just everybody wants to put a stamp on someone else.
The arguments that he came with is that, yeah, but as a writer, you need to know so many weird, odd things. I was like, oh, so you mean knowledgeable? I think that's the thing that we writers as well do, is that if someone says something, we go and overanalyze it a little bit, which is a peculiar bit about writers. I do think that is very much part of the character of a writer. And that itself, what you said, a little obsessive.
Yeah.
In people like Lovecraft or Ernest Hemingway or Hunter Thompson can lead to a certain character that yes, can dive into the craziness. But I don't think it's a prerequisite to, as a writer, be crazy.
I think as a writer, you're willing to sacrifice things, whether it's your spare time or your social interactions. And I think that's what might be considered crazy by regular people.
I do agree that the idea I'm gonna lock myself in a room as the thing that I love most to do, not speak with people, and just go into a world that doesn't exist and invent people that don't exist and have conversations between them.
Which, if you state it that way, it sounds a little bit crazy. I think what writers do is everybody has these conversations in their head. And I think the only thing writers do is put them on paper in the form of different characters or situations.
Because that is what you're doing. If you're having these conversations in your head, you're approaching a topic that you care about a lot.
Yeah, it's the angel and the devil.
Or it's the emotional and the logical. Yeah. Sometimes when you're in a relationship, you're thinking, should I approach this from a logical side or an emotional side? And yeah, it's interesting to then have that conversation as two characters. Just to conclude, do you need to be eccentric to be a writer? I think yes.
Yes, I agree.
That's at least my ideas about like what it is to be a writer.
Yeah, this was it's not one of a kind, but I find this a very interesting discussions, and I'm looking forward to doing more of them.
And the next one. Now, these are our thoughts. Of course, we would love to continue this discussion with you in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking it and perhaps even subscribing to our channel. This will help us understand what people like and create better content for you as the listener. This was From a Writer's Perspective, and see you in the next one.